Hey everybody, Damon D, and that was Emotion Sickness from Queens of the Stone Age from the new album In Time's New Roman, which was just released June of 2023 on Matador Records. This is the first release since 2017's Villains, which was the Mark Ronson produced album, which this one, maybe this is a little harder edged, grinding guitars, maybe less pop sheen than Villains. And the lineup here, we have Joshua Homme on guitar and vocals as expected, John Theodore, formerly of the Mars Volta, on drums, multi-instrumentalist Dean Fertitta on guitar and keyboard, Sir Troy Van Leeuwen on guitar, keyboard, and Michael Schumann on bass. First release he played on was 2013's Like Clockwork. This record comes in at about 47 minutes with 10 songs, with closing track Straight Jacket Fitting coming in about 9.5 minutes. The other 9 songs are really a shorter 3.5, 4 minute range. So Paper Machete is a really great song. It's about 3.5 minutes. You know, it reminds me a little bit of Little Sister. So it's definitely this kind of, you know, up-tempo, shorter, hard rocking jam, which is really interesting, really good. Carnivore, this is an interesting track because I think the bass here has a really interesting sound. The bass player, Michael Schumann, might be using an octave pedal because it's really got this unique sound. And this track kind of reminds me, the guitar a little bit, kind of has a Jack White kind of vibe to it, I think, with the guitar and the effects that they're using on it. You know, I know he uses a lot of octave and distortion to kind of get these higher pitched sounds, so this track reminds me a little bit of that as far as a guitar perspective. And the closer, Straight Jacket Fitting, is about 9 minutes, and what's unique about this is the outro is almost like a different song. With acoustic guitar, I think there's some keyboard in there, kind of this lower, kind of dreamy outro that's a different part of the song almost entirely, the last probably, I don't know, minute 45 maybe. So that's definitely a unique track. And with 3 guitar players, there's definitely points on these songs where there's a wall of guitars. At the same time, there's also kind of this unique vibe where one person's playing, where the rhythm guitar is playing a certain part, and then one of the other guitars is playing a melody or lead line over it. So from a guitar perspective, it's pretty interesting because not a lot of bands have 3 guitar players. So if you do play guitar, check it out and see what you think. So the final verdict is, this is a really good release. You know, 10 songs, 47 minutes, pretty much all killer, no filler. So the drumming is first rate, the rhythm section, the bass and drums are really locked in, and I really like how the drums are given kind of space here on some parts of the songs where there'll be some beats that are played and you can really hear the bass drum and the snare and the cymbals in a kind of in their own environment without all the wall of guitars happening. So that's really unique. The bass tone is really good and interesting. And again, with 3 guitar players, you're gonna get quite a bit of, you know, tasty licks that any person that's into guitar would really like. And there's definitely some songs here with hooky choruses. Emotion Sickness, for me, that's a very hooky chorus, and I probably would have put that first, the first track on the release. And from a vocal perspective, there's definitely a range here with a more falsetto type of vocal. And then in some cases, to me, it sounded a little bit like maybe mid-80s Bowie a little bit, with a deeper, almost baritone style. In a couple of the tracks, so that's really interesting as well. So if you are a Queens of the Stone Age fan, you're probably gonna really like this release. You know, again, it's a little harder edged than the last release, and maybe kind of harkens back to their Lullabies to Paralyze era. If you're not necessarily familiar with the band, you might enjoy this as well if you're into kind of a straight ahead rock sound, guitar heavy. And the final rating is, I'm gonna go with a 7.8 out of 10. This has been Damon D. One World, One Rock.